Let me get my elaborate lighting system set up here. Here we go. Okay, doke. Today, what I'd like to talk about is the how do we find really great um, movements, or not movements, but watches overall, and get them for ourselves before they're discovered. And two things happen: one, they become scarce, and two, they become expensive. Hey neighbor, how you doing? It's looking like we're having another great day today. Hi John. Always on the lookout for the rare ones. Yeah, I think that makes it more fun too. I mean, there's certain watches you can collect until the cows come home and they're boring. They were born when they started and they're still boring. Hi Jimmy. Oh, it's chilly in Melbourne. I never think of it as ever being chilly in Melbourne. Melbourne is always nice weather. Hi 911, how you doing, man? Yoko, good to see you. Um, you're right about on the lookout for the rare ones. Or you're going through a bunch of watches, and are you going through articles? That's another thing too. In these articles, someone will say, "Oh, by the way, I found out that they just happen to have chronode movement in them," or "Oh, I just saw that they had a Bashir movement," or an Agenor movement, or somebody. Um, I'll tell you one of the more interesting ones, and it's sort of a I guess it used to be like a big secret, and you could pick these things up for pretty not much. I think I saw one for around four, five, $6,000. This is some years ago, and that was a Cartier mono pusher, and the movement had a THA, was by THA, and this was the uh, sort of the group that FP Journe, Flageolet, and Vianney Halter started. And another way to spot a really great watch that's been overlooked, simply, especially if it has a back open, the movement, you can tell by the movement. And if you look at the back of that um, Cartier mono pusher that has that in it, boy, that doesn't look at all like the other kinds of things. It's just a gorgeous movement. The reason I never got that watch was that one, I'm not into chronographs. That's one thing, and it was a little small for me. So, but still, it's you don't have to run out and buy it because you may not fit well in your collection or in your head or wherever else. But it's fun to look all the time, and see what you can find. And sometimes you can find them in all different places, and that's what I wanted to talk about today is how do we go and look for these. And so we get ahead of the game and have fun. By the way, too, I'm wearing my this is one of the H Mosers. I forgot what they call it. They had these two stupid names before the new regime took over, and this was the Maya or I forgot the name of it. But essentially, what it is a hand wound 8-day center second, um, and H Moser. What did they call it? Just that was it. I think it's something like that. But these things, brand new in the box and with the papers, were like, I think I got this one from a company who Federico told me was on the ropes later on. Like, these guys are going broke. They're going to go under any minute now. And I got it for half price. But the thing of it is that I it, they were they weren't popular. I think that helped. But my God, there was another clue, is that the frequency was at 18,000 semi-oscillations per hour rather than one of these things, these mule beaters, see how fast they can go. Okay, let's see what you got to say. Hey, 9/11. Um, Parts of the country are supposed to receive a polar blast of cold air next week. Wow, really? But I think Central Florida will be skipped. Yeah. Hi, Brian. Ely, Nita, how are you? Damon. Yeah, we should all have at least one. Harborings, their waiting list keeps getting longer. Hi, JGH. Bon matin. Same to you. Hey, Fernie. Good morning. Jimmy. I've had fun looking at Dior Chrono that uses El Primero movement. There you go. I didn't know there was such a Dior, so that's a nice discovery. Hey, Abdul, how you doing? Jorge, is that I wonder how you say that. Good afternoon, Horge. John, let's see. The COVID-19 was a catalyst to watch for and say, yeah, thus it opens even more possibilities through excess. Yeah, I wonder how the U.S. is going to do now we have a guy running a medical thing who's crazy and doesn't believe in vaccines. Then the prices will really go up. Michael William, boy, unpopular watches are definitely always great buys while they are not in the herd. Yeah, I agree. Not in trend. Morning, and watch. Who's a watch geek? Brian, this week I got my first Longines, a Spirit Zulu Time GMT. It's USS. Yeah, absolutely love it. You know something, Brian? I was working on a video for Monday, and one of the watches I found was a Longines that I really liked and recommended. One of the reasons I will probably even over recommend a Longines is that I got their equation of time. Now, their equation of time watch was made in 1989 to celebrate the 100th or 150th anniversary, I think, of the name Longines. And that watch has been really good. They have ETA movements in them, but I think they're more like Longines movements made by ETA, and there's some ETA number on it. But ETA doesn't crank out equation of time movements. So yeah, I've got nothing but good things to say about Longines. I like them. Hi, Dominic. Good to see you. Yeah, Dornbooth is a good example. I remember when they first got started, it was sort of or actually, I suppose, first time I recognized them was after the what do they call it? The recombination of Germany. I'll put it that way. It's not called that. It's called something else. But after the recombination, they started being able to do things that they weren't before because they had worked under the old East German reunification. Thanks, Abdul. After the reunification, they were able to do a lot more. Good morning, Brian, XPD chief. Oh boy. Longines are great values. Yeah, I agree with that. Oh, wow. Jimmy, you got on your equation of time. You know, I got to tell you, they're hard to find now. It's really hard to find those equation of time Longines. And the reason I got one was that it was the most affordable one by a lot. Um, yeah, that's another good watch with equation of time is the Martin Baum. It's Martin Braun. Yeah, Martin Braun. That's another really good one that is within hand grenade range of a lot of budgets. Uh, yeah, no, Michael. Yeah, equation of time is a solar time. Basically, what it is that if you really want to have an inexpensive s- solar time equation of time, get a sundial and then check it against your wristwatch. That'll give you the equation of time. It takes two devices to do that. But yeah, uh, the other thing though, the Longines version, I think other ones too. Not only do they include the equation of time, they include the time sunrise and sunset, and then they have the inclination of the Earth. I mean, that's like really a nice watch. And like I said, that was a very special watch. And so even though it was a very special one, I really respect any watch company that will spend the time and resources to put together something. Maybe it's not practical. So what? It's interesting. One of the most wonderfully impractical watches was done, I think it was 2013, 2014, somewhere right in there. Vacheron Constantin wanted to make the most complicated watch. Okay, have more complications. And they ended up with this great big orb of a watch. Now, before that, Patek Philippe in 1989 had done the same thing, and they had the most complicated watch. But before that, for good grief, almost 90 years, El Leroy had introduced something at some exposition in 1900. And so from 1900 until 1989, El Leroy had the most complex rock. That's another brand that I had one early on, and I tell you, the design and the everything but the movement was fantastic. They used to make good movement because they were located in Besançon, where they had the observatory that they did the chronometer testing with. And I don't know where they are now. I think they may be using, I'm not sure, and don't, they might be, some of them may be using Vaucher movements now. I don't know. You probably do, Michael, but I don't. I I was. It's sort of like the guys who don't want to have a drink until after 5. Well, it must be 5 somewhere. Oh, Abdul, that's another Abdul's point about looking for dead movements. I tell you a couple things that I've found when if I find a watch with a big rotor, not rotor, but a big balance wheel and 18,000 semi oscillations per hour. That's one that I thought, aha, here's something special. There was there was a note of all of the places to find this. There was a note that F.P. Journe wrote to George Daniels with he was gifting one of his watches, the Platinum Chronomat Souvenir, and he's gifted it to George Daniels shortly before, about a year before Daniels died. It wasn't a very short period in there. But at the end of the note, he talked about, I think, the why he had done it the way he did, And the fact that it had a large balance wheel, I think 21,600 semi-oscillations per hour. And so things were, also that's what it was. Those are the things. The lower your your frequency, the larger the balance wheel you can have, and the larger the balance wheel, the more inertia you have. And so this is something that I like. I know there there's there are drawbacks. Okay, with greater inertia, it's harder to flip it around. But once it does get flipped around and sort of is off whack, it takes longer for it to get back to what it likes. Okay. Whereas those little bitty ones, you bang those things and you look at them cross-eyed and they'll go off, but they get back very quickly. So what you got? Hi, Eric, the King. How you doing? I recently discovered your channel. Uh-oh. We've been hiding. I think it's, oh, good. I'm glad you found a good one on YouTube. Oh, from Italy. Greetings from Italy. I love Italy. Hey, John. Always incredible to see the large price variation for the same movement, but different cases. Very good point. Yeah, especially with gold these days. It's crazy. Hey, Rancher. Ended up sleeping a bit over today. Yeah, good. You always need it. Not sorry about being late. We're not sorry about you being late either, Rancher. Good to see you. Hey, Brian L. I was looking at two Nomos watches, same watch, but one was $250 more. It turns out that the more expensive one has a glass back. Ah, okay, that explains it. Do you think it's worth paying extra for a glass back? That's really funny. By and large, the answer would be they shouldn't charge you for a extra for a sapphire back on it. But I like to see the movement. Now, here's the thing: if you've got a movement with a giant rotor and you can't see anything, not so much. I like to see it though. Maybe you can get a peek of. I always like to see what the balance wheel is doing, and I always like looking at the regulator. If you ever buy a used watch, and you can see the regulator, and if you look at the regulator arm and see whether they pushed it a lot to one side or the other, that'll tell you something about the watch. Dominic, you had that backwards. It's better never than late, especially for some of us. Hi, JGH. Okay, look at the Pascal Coyan chronomet. Okay. All right. That sounds like one worth looking at. I will. I've heard of it, but I don't remember exactly which one it is. Going to make a quick espresso or two when this is done. Okay. Yeah, I had my espresso earlier today. Another opener, different type of escapements. Oh yes, that's very true. Interesting escapements. The probably, one of the ironies to me is one of the best escapements is on one of the most popular watches, and that's on Omegas. Unfortunately, they got the rubber band, not rubber, but plastic, not plastic, silicon hairsprings. I knew it was one of those. Speaking of which, always looking for a chance to bring out my my toy here for my working with. I can wind. Here's how you wind the thing up and see if I haven't broke it already. There it is. Give it a kick, and there it goes. I love this thing because it works. It's got the pallet fork, the balance wheel, the red hairspring and a yellow escapement on it, and then it goes around like that. So always like to use this as a as a tool. Rancher Steve McQueen in Great Escapements. Oh, Jesus. Oh, man. Okay, back to Eric. So you see, do you recommend everyday watch to wear to the office, but also for casual occasion? Budget around 2,000 bucks. There are a lot of ones. You're considering a vintage Blanc Pagne Villeray. You know, that does sound like a good one. I'd go with the Ulysse Nardin. They're a mixed bag of movements, but one of the older uh, Blanc Pagnes, you know that they have a Frederic Perregaux movement. The newer ones, they're putting rubber bands and hamsters on running wheels with Swatch. Swatch is in trouble, by the way. Swatch they've been having real trouble. It's sort of interesting. On the New Yorker magazine, they've been running ads, and that's sort of I guess they're after people who think who they think are rich. People who read the New Yorker, I don't know, maybe they are into watches, but when I see that, why not just put Blanc Pagne? I wish they put Blanc Pagne with the Frederic Perregaux movement. Isn't that nice? I bet they'd sell more, but instead they have Blanc Pagne and Swatch. I mean, Swatch is identified with these cheap little funky watches, which, by the way, are the only part of the Swatch empire that seems to be making money these days. Interesting stuff. How did I get back to budget around 2,000 and consider? Yeah, I'd go with Blanc Pagne. Ulysse Nardin, some of the Ulysse Nardin are a lot of Ulysse Nardins. I think they'll have ETA movements, and then and if you don't mind that, then that's okay too. But I think you'd be better off with a Blanc Pagne, Eric. So anyway, that's just my opinion. Other guys might have other view otherwise. Do I think the German watch would be more attractive in the U.S. if the tariffs continue on Swiss watches? That's a really good question. The thing is that, well, now this may be me more than anybody else, but it appears as though the German watches are so much more expensive. You've got three really sort of elite brands, especially in terms of price. You have All Lange und Söhne, you have Lang and Son, and then you have Maurice Grossman. So those are really expensive watches. All of them are. You know what I would like to see very, very much? The video that I had this weekend, or on Friday, yesterday, I talked about watches with Vaucher movements in them. Vaucher makes a very good movement. For a while, you could buy one of the best movements, German, Swiss, any, from Langenheim, and that was, I think they call it what was it? The work. What is it? It was something works. W something D. Okay, 33.1, and that movement, you could buy that movement. It was about, I think you could pick them up for about $1,000. This was a fantastic movement. It was by Marco Lang before he left at UWD, I think is what it was called, Uhren Works Dresden. That's what it was. UWD 33.1. They came out later after Marco left with 33.2, which was center second instead of small second. But that movement, my God, if other German watch companies could buy that movement from Langenheim, man, I'll tell you, they'd really go to town on it. What they did though is that they put it into their Hector. There was some watches. There was one that was I almost bought it. It was 7,000 euro at the time, and it was a watch company in Munich who made these god awful ugly watches. All right, but they had that 33.1 in it. Longer, something or other. They went out of business, and I think all of the movements went back to Langenheim. But man, I tell you, now I'm sort of looking back on it. Gee, I wish I'd bought one of those ugly watches. It take the movement out. But I think that would be a heck of a move. Now, I don't know how long this nonsense with our current clown show in town is going to exist. I think we'll all be gone by the next pandemic. I don't know though. I think I really wish that would happen with, and then you could have a watch like if you're paying $1,000 for a movement, you could probably put together a watch. A lot of watches do well for under 10,000 euro. So that's my opinion of that. Other German watches that are more affordable, like Dornbooth and Son, and there's some other ones. There's some that they're just dynamite with engraving and all of that, and those are nice watches. But they're really there's really not much to say about them as far as horology is concerned. And I wish that would happen because the Germans can. I mean, why? I wish Marco Lang has got his own thing. He's making one watch now, and he has so many orders that he doesn't have to make another watch. So I don't know. I would really like to see something. I tried to talk Marco Lang into getting together with a Larique on a watch, and he said no. But anyway, okay, enough of that. Did you ever try on a silicone strap? Yeah, I think they're comfortable. I agree with that. They're nice. Did your toy have a silicone? My toy, it's not a toy, it's a demonstration tool. My hairspring is out of pure plastic. It didn't deign like my watches. I do not allow silicone to sully my movements, including this is my plastic one. This, I think, was made in a 3D printer. All of the parts are in a 3D printer. By the way, let me remind everybody again, maybe I ought to get one, figure this out. If you have a 3D printer or you like to play around as a hobby or whatever you're using it for, you can go to marcolangwatches.com and they have all of this information that you can download, put into your 3D printer, and come out with a watch, all right, or a movement or something. It's really amazing. He gives it away. It doesn't cost anything. So if you're into that kind of stuff. Yeah, there you go, Dominic. I agree. That's the perfect place for plastic and watchmaking. I want to add a Hanhart 417 ES soon, but I need to sell first a couple of watches. Hanhart's, I've been looking at Hanhart. They're doing some good stuff too. Silicone strap, I don't know. I like gator straps. Silicone straps, a lot of stuff is silicone. I think is great. They make all kinds of great stuff with it. And so that's it. Okay. Rancher is a greedy to the neck pain. Okay. It's frying pan time. That's another thing. It's time for Rancher to make a couple of cups of cappuccino. Anyway, JGH, Chinese watchmakers are becoming a lot better quality. I agree. I couldn't agree more. Uh, my favorite right now is Peacock because I've seen some of the stuff they did. Their tourbillon is, I mean, for a couple $1,000. Not only do you get a nice tourbillon, you get a nice case, a nice dial. It looks like Grand Seiko for the price of a Tissot. Really amazing. Bulgari, yes. Uh, See you, Brian. Anyway, my time is up too. Take care. 4 o'clock today. Any ideas of what you'd like to talk about? Let me know. Rancher, you come up with an idea. Take care.